Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. Martin, and today we're here to talk about pop art and culture, how an artistic movement captured the minds of everyday people. So, if you don't know what an artistic movement is, it really is a group of artists who are working with similar philosophies or goals at around the same time. It's not a complicated concept. So, when you hear movement, that's what that means. Today, we're here, among other things, to talk about culture. And so, what is culture? Well, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines culture as the beliefs, customs, arts, etc. of a particular society, group, place, or time. A particular society that has its own beliefs, ways of life, art, etc., or a way of thinking, behaving, or working that exists in a place or organization, such as a business. So you've heard that term corporate culture before. That's what it refers to. Culture is who we are. And so it's all of the things that we hold to be important. Cultural subcategories are the things that go into making culture what it is, and there really are three main ones: high culture, mass culture, and pop culture. And so high culture is the best of us. It's those things, usually artistic works, that reflect the highest ideals of our society. So when you think about the Shakespeares, the Bachs, the Beethovens, Leonardo da Vinci's, you're thinking about our highest ideals, you're thinking about high culture. High culture, how do you tell what is high culture, what isn't high culture? It's a little tricky because on the left, you see that work by Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night that we all think of as being high culture. But you need to know that in the 1800s, when Van Gogh painted that, he couldn't sell a painting to save his life. And that painting on the right is by an illustrator named Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta was working on like album covers and book covers. And it's certainly a magnificent painting, but it's really not considered to be high culture. Well, as it says there, not yet. Our attitudes about what is or isn't high culture can change over time, and so trash often becomes museum treasure. Mass culture is the exposure to products, ideas, arts, entertainment, politics that are broadcast to us by corporate and sometimes government sources. And these are, the news media, which is this term that's really popular right now. But the idea is that it can create a common point of view and a sense of identity, but it also reflects this idea someone is controlling the flow of information. So mass culture can work like this. We only feel the way we do based on what we know or what we believe we know. So if you watch a lot of Fox News, you're probably likely to have pretty conservative views. And if you watch a lot of MSNBC, you're probably likely to have pretty liberal views. And why is that? It's because it's the only thing that you're exposed to. That's the effect of mass culture. Pop culture is something else entirely. It's the most mainstream elements and ideas running through our culture. So it reflects, all the hits and bestsellers. If you think about the toy that was popular last Christmas, that's a big reflection of pop culture. The pop songs, the pop stars, the movies, all of that stuff is pop culture. Pop culture is the stuff we let in because it takes our minds off of the things that scare us. And so you can see here, I've got a nuclear explosion on the left and I've got, Kim and Kanye on the right. Well, most people would rather think about Kim and Kanye than think about impending destruction. And so that's why pop culture is so, what's the word I'm looking for? Seductive. Pop art is art that's based in pop culture, and it began in World War II, post-World War II England in the early 50s, but it spread all over the world, particularly to the United States. Pop art is art that elevates images from our everyday lives in the same way we elevate these things in our own minds. In this way, it intentionally draws our attention to our inclination to ignore important things and inflate the importance of trivia. Many people see pop art as being superficial, but the fact of the matter is it's often a pretty biting critique. Just what is it that makes today's home so different, so appealing? It's this powerful work by Richard Hamilton from the United Kingdom in 1956. It was a critique of consumerism and post-World War II American culture from an English point of view. And so it's really easy to understand if you look at all of these images that are going on here, pretty provocative images, a man and woman barely dressed, all of these consumer products and luxuries. And you need to remember that in the 1950s, post-World War II Europe, particularly England. They'd been bombed, all the factories and homes had been bombed. Many people, even in the 50s, were still hungry, if not literally, figuratively, and they were in want of common comforts. And so they saw uh, American culture as being sort of excessive. Andy Warhol, will call him the stepfather of pop because he certainly didn't create it, but he sure did make it famous, and he made himself famous doing it. He smashed our ideas of what art could be throughout his career of over 25 years. Um, and along the way, made some pretty stunning, compelling images that are sort of locked in our psyche. Here's one of them, the Campbell Soup Can. Throughout his career, he made audiences reimagine art by presenting it in new contexts. And so he built his images on everything from advertisements to Hollywood magazines. And so that's where we get the soup cans, and that's where we get the Marilyn Monroes. And his idea was to make us rethink what art was by taking our everyday and putting it up on the gallery wall. And he helped a lot of people to buy into that idea. Historically, appropriation is one of the most important themes in pop art, and you've seen it in Andy Warhol already. You've seen it in the way that he used photographs of Marilyn Monroe. He didn't take those photographs. He used them from Hollywood magazines or fan club photos. He didn't create the Campbell Soup label. He used that idea. This is a painting on the right by Shepard Fairey, the Barack Obama Hope poster that was used in the 2008 Obama campaign. It was made from that picture on the left, and Shepard Fairey certainly didn't shoot that picture. It was an AP News photograph that was, it's a very small part of a much bigger photo, but he modified it and created his poster around that image. Pop art is still in the public eye today. Now, technically, if you're an art historian, you're going to say that pop art died in like the 1970s, before Andy Warhol's death. But really, it is going strong because it's such a captivating style for so many people. And so pop art is still going strong today through guys like Shepard Fairey, but he's certainly not the only one. Why is it there? Well, it's an important lens through which we look at our society. A lot of people appreciate the pop culture ties and the really cool, familiar, slick graphics. But many other people really appreciate pop art's criticisms of our society.